That's right. Hello. I've returned, ladies and gentlemen. It's me. Welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to the Turnbuckle Podcast. This is episode 17. What do I do? Well, I talk about wrestling. And I don't know why I just started doing an intro for any newcomers. I feel like I should do that more. Trixie Mattel does that. She says, if you're new here, I'm Trixie Mattel. I have a passion for makeup artistry. We upload every week, and then they reference videos that they've done. Well, I am Ed. We're just gonna say I'm Ed, and I talk about wrestling. And this podcast is mainly about all of the prominent wrestling topics that have graced our presence over the week. It's not just like any old wrestling topic. It's all of the most significant wrestling topics that have come out in the last 5 days. And I talk about them, and I get my thoughts. And usually the first 20 minutes is about me and just things that I get up to and my thoughts on certain things and just, breaking the ice. I like to think of it as like breaking the ice, just sort of getting comfortable, getting into the groove, you know what I mean? Working my thoughts out and that sort of stuff. Now that I think about it, I feel like this should be the episode that I put on YouTube because I just did that intro. So now I feel like, and you know what? I'm going to do that. This will be the episode that I put out because I did recently talk about how I was going to upload the podcast, and then I was like, at the time I was like, I'm on episode 14, and the last time I uploaded was on episode 3. So even if I started uploading on a regular, consistent schedule, I don't think I would ever catch up because of how far behind. I would literally have to stop doing the podcast and then just upload them, just to get back on track. But yeah, I think I might do it with this one, just because I gotta start at some point, and I figured what better time to start than right now. So if you're just joining us, hello. I hope you're doing well. This is episode 17. I know that I jumped from episode 3 to episode 17, but listen, life happens, okay? Stuff gets in the way, all right? And this is just how it is sometimes, all right? I apologize for uploading only one episode, only 2 episodes of That's Odd, and then never uploading another episode again. To be honest with you, though, those types of, shows, we'll say, are very difficult because you want to, I would like to curate a very specific type of news, right, to give out, and I don't always want it to just be flumph news, as the great Carl Pilkington once said, there's a load of flumph telly, and when I tell you, that man spoke the truth, okay, the amount of flumph on TV, that I have the displeasure of seeing. I completely agree with him, 100%. Okay, I would argue there's nothing but flumphs on TV now. They've got a TV show out now with Sarah Silverman, and it's about dogs. No, it's about animals. Sorry, it's about animals and all the crazy, wacky things that they can do. And I feel like that show can only go about maybe 2 seasons before you start seeing the same thing over and over again because animals can't talk and they can't drive cars. So we're going to see an animal playing an instrument, an animal riding a skateboard or a scooter, an animal doing a flip, an animal jumping over or jumping through something, an animal, maybe a bird knowing how to talk. One was a camel that knew how to, I don't know, I wasn't even paying attention, but it walked underneath something. Great, there's only so many things before it starts becoming more about the people doing something, and then the animal kind of just sort of being secondary to it, So there's a bunch of nonsense on there. Anyway, see, but that's what happens on this podcast. I just sort of ramble, and I love that. I talked about this before, but the ringside is more it's more more tight knit, more tied together, more prim and proper. And the Turnbuckle Podcast is more just, relax, chill out, nothing crazy, something you can pull up a chair to. I always love when Bob says, pull up your easy chair and get a nice cold glass of iced tea, if that's what you want to do while you're listening to this, I'm perfectly okay with that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what's been going on with me? I've been playing a lot of Skyrim, and I have just been. So right now, I am a Khajiit, and I am mastering in sneak and speech and lockpick, and I want to say one-handed, but well, no, one-handed weapons, not just one-handed specific, one-handed weapons, and I've got dual-wield daggers, and I'm wearing shrouded armor, and I just love the way that it looks on him. His name's Tharnir. I love that name. I want to give a shout out to AI, because AI gave me the name for my Argonian, who was named Cirathrax. So, I mean, fuck me, I would have never, the only cool name that I came up with on Skyrim by myself was Hroldar. It was Hroldar, Hroldar. And I don't know, I liked it, I thought it was cool. And yeah, I've been playing Skyrim, and then the reason why I stopped playing Skyrim is because I found a new drug, and that drug is called Power Wash Simulator. And when I tell you that game is, okay, I'm just going to be upfront, okay? It's like smoking weed. The way that it turns my brain off, I don't know what it is, but it is incredible. I love that game so much. I play it, and last night I said, I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna play Skyrim, and then I ended up cleaning the dirt bike, and then I cleaned the entire bungalow from start to finish, and it was just the most miraculously satisfying thing I've ever done in my entire life. I love it so much, and I don't think I'll ever stop playing that game until I find another game like that out there. And I almost hope that there never is another game that comes out like that. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing. In Skyrim, my boy Tharnir is he's part of the Stormcloak Rebellion. I'm still kind of trying to figure out why they're at war. I think it's got a lot. So I recently figured it out. Well, by recently figured it out, I mean I looked it up. And apparently, hold on, I'm just trying to make sure my audio's all right. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. I looked up why if I lock my phone, does it pause the audio? No, okay. I looked up why the Stormcloaks and the Imperials fight, and it has a lot to do with like the Imperials are basically trying to, we're just gonna say like impede a particular set of laws onto Skyrim, and the Stormcloaks don't like that. Also, the Imperials took out Talos as a divine. He was the 9th divine, and they took him out. So now there's only 8 divines. So if ever you're playing Skyrim and somebody says by the 8, that's what they mean. So that's why they don't say by the 9. I think that's what my man in Whiterun is always preaching about, which makes sense because Whiterun... Wait, no. Well, right, Whiterun is part of the Imperial regime, I guess. So it wouldn't make sense that he's protesting. But I guess it's freedom of speech. I'm assuming, because that's what I was thinking about when I was walking the dogs today. I was like, if he's yelling about the fact that Talos isn't a divine, because I hear him all the time. Man, I walk by him enough times. I hear some of the stuff he talks about. He talks about like the elven stuff or whatever. I think I don't listen to him. I think you can talk to him. I literally treat him as another guy on the street. I literally just mind my business, man. I let him do his thing. I just walk by him. I don't even talk to him. I stopped doing my Cirathrax playthrough because the Thieves Guild, the one where you're joining the Nocturnals, that questline bugged out. And it bugged out in Tharnir's playthrough too, but I looked it up and I fixed it. You have to so she'll walk up to you. If you don't know this, listen very carefully. So when you get the gear on, if you go in and you get the gear on and she walks over with my man, right? Let them talk. While they're talking, go up the steps, stand at the foot of the steps. don't try, because what I tried to do is I tried to keep pulling her more and more over. That doesn't work. You have to get her to the foot of the steps, and then so get her to the foot of the steps, right? She's going to be at the foot of the steps. It's going to take some finesse, but she will get to the foot of the steps and no further. So finish the dialogue, right? While she's talking, she's not moving. So in that time, go behind her and then use unrelenting force and blow her over. And it works. So what you got to do is you have to get her to her spot before Mans gets there, because apparently what happens a lot in Skyrim, because another glitch happened in my Tharnir playthrough, and I'll get to that. But what you got to a lot of times, they have to get to a specific spot to do like an animation of some kind or to further the storyline or whatever. And if it's more than one person in the room or like in the area, sometimes they will get in their way. The AI pathfinding will kind of like conflict and they just won't move, or they'll just bump into each other and that'll be the end of it. So you have to you literally, both of the times I had to literally force them out of the way and it worked. So with her, you just got to push her over to the chain and she pulls it. And then another time this was after I got, my man, the General Tullius. I got General Tullius and Ulfric Stormcloak and Jarl Balgruuf to, they do a truce, they come together, and you meet them at the Greybeard's place, and Galmor was the one who was fucking it up, because he got stuck. So you have to move Galmor out of the way, and I had to use a cheat spell, and listen, you can yell at me all you want. When I tell you that cheat mod has come in so much handy, you have no idea, okay? And it's the reason why I downloaded that cheat mod, for that exact reason, okay? Because I used Unrelenting Force, and I didn't even use the full Unrelenting Force, and I basically soft locked because everybody got mad at me and they started beating me up. So I was like, all right, I have to use the cheat spell where you force them. So it's basically like you just push them, but they don't move forward, they go up. So I just miraculously hit him with it. He bounced up, ricocheted off the ceiling, and landed in the spot. Man, it was first of all, it's hilarious because he just landed in the spot and that was it. So that's pretty much what you had to do with that. So if you're playing Skyrim right now and you're like stuck, and what Homegirl will do is she will, if you don't know, you talk and then she walks up the steps and then immediately turns around and then just fucks off. So if you're like playing and somebody's like stuck, then that's usually what you have to do. Also, another thing too, when I was doing Tharnir, when you are freeing Esbern from his little, bungalow, wait for him to be done. Don't just leave, because there's a sequence of events that need to play out. He has to rummage through all of his shit, and then when he's done, then a bunch of Thalmor will come and attack. So don't leave while he's doing that, because I did that, and then I went all the way back to Riverwood, and she was like, "Where is he?" And I was like, "Oh, well, he's on his way." And she was like, "Well, go get him." And I waited, and he didn't show up. So you have to go back and let him finish his animation, and then when he's done, it triggers the Thalmor, and then you're pretty much all good. At that point, you can you can fuck off, and then you can just leave, and then every time you go to a different room, he will teleport in front of you. So just let you know, just in case, just in case you didn't know. I'm thinking about doing a new playthrough, and I'm thinking about doing a Nord. I can't tell if I want to do a female Nord or a male Nord. I kind of want to make him as tall as I forget his name. It starts with a T, I think. He's the dude you meet in Savingrad that you got to fight before you get into the hall. And man, he beats the shit out of you, okay? He's tall, he's a big dude, he's big. And I was like, I kind of want him to look like him, so I might do that. I want him to be I have the characters, man. Tharnir and Seertharks are very different people, and I try and play I try to play to their characters. I want my Nord guy to be very forceful and abrasive and aggressive and mean, I want him to do stuff for money, and I want him to hit first and ask questions later. I want him to be like that. So I also because of that, I want him to join the Imperials. No rebellion, all right? We squashed the rebellion. I want him to do that. I don't know what his name's going to be, but that's what I was thinking about. So yeah, what else is going on? It's getting warmer out. The snow has completely fucked off. Completely. There is no more snow at all. I would say a week ago, there was snow all over the place. You couldn't walk outside without almost slipping or stepping into a pile of snow. Now, no snow there's mist everywhere, at least from, where I am, but there's mist all over the place. So there's not a single bit of snow. I'm not complaining. I love snow. I love winter. I love when it's snowing outside and there's already snow on the ground and it's so quiet. I love when it snows at night and you can see the snow coming down from like and it's, I don't know how to explain it. When you look at snow on a snowy, cold night coming down and like in the background is like a street lamp and it's like orange or like a nice yellowish hue. Oh, beautiful. Fucking love that, man. But loved it since I was a kid. Loved it now. It's like the only weather that like doesn't really make any noise. I love that. So yeah. What else is going on? I took a shower. I didn't shower in the morning like I normally do because I had to make like one phone call that turned into like multiple phone calls. It was annoying. So yeah, I forgot to shower, and I showered right before I did the podcast, and I'm a little squeaky clean little boy. It's great, and I love it. So, yeah. So, to dip a little bit into wrestling, I don't know if you know this, there have been some recent allegations that have come out over Vince McMahon, and he has recently resigned from WWE/TKO. And, yeah, man, the allegations are fucking wild. They're crazy. They are crazy. I just want to say, they specifically said that Brock Lesnar was not explicitly mentioned in the lawsuit. So we don't 100% know for sure if it's Brock Lesnar. But it does line up to be him. Just because of the timing and, he is a former UFC. So there's a lot of factors that would allude to it actually being Brock Lesnar. But I think I personally am going to say innocent until proven guilty, unless it explicitly comes out that Brock Lesnar was involved in that. Well, someone said that Brock Lesnar exposed himself to someone, and she like went to Goldust, and Goldust said you can't sell it, which is crazy. I don't think it was her though. I can't remember. Either way, crazy. Just, I don't want to talk about it. I never like talking about stuff like this. I felt really icky about talking about the whole Patrick Clark stuff, just because it's first of all, it's very triggering. Say what you want. I'm sure there's people out there that do not want to hear about stuff like this. You know what I mean? And I personally don't feel comfortable talking about stuff like this, and that's why I don't really talk about it too much. And that's why I'm probably not going to say a whole lot if it ever does, show up in the rumors, and that's why I wanted to talk about it here, because, I do want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, anything else going on? I love Power Hour Simulator. I just completed the playground, and I think I didn't even see what else to do. I think, well, I don't know if I'm done the playground just yet. I don't think I finished. But, yeah, I didn't finish, actually, now that I think about it. Oh, I don't know if they save. Oh, God. I hope they save. I don't think there's an autosave. Oh, God. I'm going to have to do that all over again. It's not going to be awful, but, still, I'm going to have to do that all over again. It's going to suck. Anyway, I don't really think that there's anything else to talk about. I'm going to upload this episode, I promise. Okay, I said it, and I'm going to set it in stone. I'm going to upload this episode. And I'm going to make sure that it comes out on Saturday. So that's what I'm going to do, folks. All right. So we're going to go ahead. And what we're going to do is we're going to end this segment because I can't record for longer than an hour on Spotify for podcasters. So if I keep going now, I'm going to eventually have to end the recording anyway. So I'm going to cut it off here. And then we're just going to jump straight into wrestling. So I will be right back. That's right. We're back. See, I wasn't even gone that long. You were worried so much. And yet, I'm right here, so it's fine. The worrying doesn't even have to commence. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. All right, we're going to be talking about wrestling now. Insider also heard about talk from behind the scenes on Raw on Monday and at WWHQ Tuesday about the company, quote, incorporating some sports-centric elements into the programming as they try to, quote, root the product in stronger realism. Root the product in stronger realism. Now, I don't think that they're going to try it. Now, I feel like I already said this, but just in case, I don't think that they're going to try and make it more real. Because we're in 2024, all right? We're adults now, all right? We're not a bunch of kooks. We know that wrestling's not real, okay? Can I just say, by the way, I want to give a shout out to people who don't understand that some people enjoy things, and there are people out there who enjoy things that some people just don't enjoy. And there is music that some people don't enjoy, and there are there's movies that some people don't enjoy, there's food that some people don't enjoy, and that is just how things are. You know, like there are just things out there for some people, and there are things out there that are not for some people. And wrestling is exactly one of those things. Football is one of those things, basketball, tennis, soccer, hockey. There's a lot of things out there that are just not for everyone, and wrestling is one of those things. And I just love that there are still to this day people out there who are yelling and screaming and shitting and farting about the fact that wrestling is not real. I mean, yeah, maybe at one point there was a time where WWF was really trying to hammer home the fact that yes, it is real, and even at that time it still wasn't. But we are now well and truly out of that era, and I really don't think, well, I would like to think that not many people are really hanging on to that anymore, and yet there still are people out there. And I know what you're thinking, Ed, how on earth could you possibly know about this? When Netflix and WWE/TKO, I should probably say TKO, you get the point, merged together, made a big deal. It obviously made a big wave, right? Because Netflix is a pretty big company, and so is WWE, you know, and that's a lot of money to be. So $5 billion is not, cheap, right? And obviously it made waves, and it got into the mainstream. And obviously when the mainstream, gets hold of something, it's off to the races at that point. And I think it was a bunch of Facebook comments because, man, I only intellectuals hang out on Facebook, and they were like, oh, wrestling's still a thing? Don't they know it's fake? And then what they love talking about, their favorite thing of all is shirtless men grabbing onto each other. They love that. They cannot get enough of the very, very snidey homophobic comments. They are such, man, they love that. I gotta tell you. But man, it's just, it doesn't bother me. I just want to point that out, man. But just, it's very fascinating just to talk about that. So, and I talk about that because I'm worried that WWE is going to try and sort of maybe, bring that back to some extent. And root the product in stronger realism kind of makes me feel like that is a route that they're potentially going to go down. But it also made me think about maybe not so much trying to make it more real, but trying to make it more realistic. I don't know if that makes any sense. Have you ever watched NFL? When they're doing I don't even know what to call it. We're gonna say the AR, where it's like the cutouts of the football players. I don't know how to explain it because I don't even know what it is, to be honest. But they'll do, like, when they're talking about, like, stats, or they're talking about, like, where, Jordan Love used to play or something like that, or, like, passing yards or something like that. What they'll do a lot is they will have, like, they'll have, like, scenarios. So, like, sometimes it'll be, like, a medieval setting, and, like, they'll have, like, the cutouts, of the cutouts of the renders of the athletes in, like, knight armor, or, like, farming armor, wow, or, like, farming attire, something. Like, they'll have, like, some sort of, like, scenarios set up that sort of, like, gives context to, like, what they're talking about. And I feel like maybe that's something that they're talking about. I was also thinking about, like, Tale of the Tape, how, like, they'll talk about, you know how they'll do like basketball where they'll compare like LeBron James's like field goal percentage and, you know, his rebounds and stuff to like Wilt Chamberlain or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they could, I mean, they do that now, like the title reigns and stuff like that. But, you know, like a lot of the times they'll compare like Jordan Love's throws to like, I think it was like Brett Favre, because apparently when Jordan Love throws the ball, he kind of like jumps in the air a little bit like Brett Favre used to do. So I think that might be what they might start doing. I don't 100% know, because there's a lot of different things that you can do and and probably won't do, you know, and that's why part of me is a little bit worried that, you know, they are probably going to start doing the whole like real, like, oh yeah, this is real now, you know, like we're gonna make it more realistic and we're gonna try and make it come off as more real and stuff. And I also was talking about how they do a lot of like the pregame, you know, stuff. Like, they do it though. They do just like NBA and NFL, where they're at a big desk. You got Wade Barrett, Booker T sitting there, and then the crowd's behind them, you know, and then they say who's going to win and all that sort of stuff, right? And then you've got, you know, well, I mean, I wouldn't say during, well, they don't really like interview well, they do, but like, I feel like it's different. Like they're interviewing the coaches like during the game. They're not going to like stop the match midway and be like, you know, you're getting your ass kicked right now. How does that feel? You know, they do sometimes do post interviews, and they've got Raw Talk and the SmackDown Lowdown and the exclusives and stuff. And they've got the Bump. I would say the Bump is probably the closest they have to like, you know, stuff you know, like the stuff that like Stephen A does and stuff like that. That's like the closest that they could get to that. So like, I wouldn't say that right now they're like trying to be more realistic or like set anything in more of a realistic tone. But what they're doing now and what they could potentially start doing in the future, definitely, you know, it could definitely like hammer it home, right? My worry again is just, I don't want them to try and trick everyone into thinking that it's real, because it's 2024. Again, we've grown up. Like, we know it's not real. Like, let's just, I mean, it's been like this for years, you know what I mean? So to try and now pull the wool over our eyes, it just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, you know, so. Monthly Perosu is saying, quote, one source close to NJPW's top talent told them Kazuchika Okada is going to WWE and he may start in NXT. For what it's worth, Fightful Select quickly refuted this, saying all that talk is premature and AEW is still in the running to sign him. Now, this is a very big deal. This is a very big deal. Kazuchika Okada is a very, very famous and popular wrestler, and he's an incredibly good wrestler. And he is a multi-time world title holder. And he has had, and I mean, like Bryan Danielson, you could argue he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So for WWE and for AEW to be having like a tug of war over this guy, it makes a lot of sense. It does. It makes a lot of sense. Is there a no? Okay. I was just making sure. Am I? Okay. You gotta make sure, right? Anyway, so I, at first, was like, so I'm going to take you on a journey. At first, I was like, he should go to WWE because I feel like they're going to do him a lot better. You've got the hardcore fans in AEW. They already know about Kazuchika Okada. So there's a bit of a ceiling that he kind of reaches a little bit because everybody already knows who he is. As opposed to WWE, where I would argue that there are way less people in WWE who are familiar with Kazuchika Okada, which means that the sky is the limit, right? Like you could really like show these guys a thing or two in that crowd. I mean, like show them a thing they've never even seen before. And that's what I was saying about New Japan collaborating with WWE. Like, you could really open these fucking doofuses' eyes to some really good wrestling. Not to say that there isn't really good wrestling, because man, that last NXT show was really good. So they know how to do it, but I'm saying like you could open them up to a new style of wrestling that they've never seen before, that they could really like, they could be like, wow, okay, all right, I see what you got going on here, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Okada could definitely work with a lot of people on the roster in WWE, and he can do that. And I feel like with the era that we are currently in with WWE now, I feel like they're not going to be afraid to tell you who Kazuchika Okada is, right? They are not going to be afraid to show you and tell you why this guy has 5-star matches. I mean, just falling out the back of his ass. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why this guy is, like, renowned in Japan. And I feel like they're definitely going to tell you that. They're going to show you that, you know? And AEW, I'm not even remotely trying to say that AEW isn't even going to come close to that. I'm saying that he is already, it's like in Skyrim. I know. Just bear with me here. You already know about Whiterun. So obviously when you fast travel there, it's going to be like, yeah, whatever, I've seen it before. As opposed to walking up to like Markarth or Riften and seeing it for the first time and getting all of the experiences for the first time, you know? So like, Okada being in WWE, I feel like would be a lot better. And that's where I was at in the beginning. And then I leaned over and realized that maybe AEW was probably better for him because of the whole visa issue that almost everybody has a problem with if they're not American. Pac, Dragon Lee, you know, a lot of different wrestlers have issues with that, whether they're already with WWE or not, you know? And yeah, I was like, all right, well, Okada would have to go and they said this, they were like, Okada's going to have to go all the way down to Florida, he's going to have to deal with the visa issues and stuff like that, because he's going to a completely different country, right? So, it makes sense that maybe Okada doesn't want to deal with that, and I say this all the time, AEW is more lenient when it comes to, especially when it comes to Japanese wrestlers. If you want to go to Japan, fine. If you want to stay here, fine, you know? And they get the documents in order in AEW, and it's not like they don't get the documents in order in WWE, but I feel like AEW would kind of already, AEW I feel like already has like a process, whereas WWE I feel like Okada may, well, I don't know, because I mean they got, what's her name, Kairi Sane, they got Kairi Sane over here, and I haven't really heard any visa issues with Kairi Sane as of late, so, you know, to say that they don't really have it all together is kind of naive, you know, but you know, at first, that's why I was at first. I was like, all right, so it makes sense that he would go to AEW first. But now it sounds like, and I'm not saying just off the bat, this is what I believe. I'm just going off of what I'm reading. It sounds like he's going to WWE and they're going to put him in NXT. I personally wouldn't do that. I feel like the best thing to do would be to strike while the iron is hot. You've got Okada. Just get the matches out now. Just to sort of like, just so you can say you've got them out, instead of taking too long and waiting, you know, and potentially missing out on a match because somebody's now caught up in another program or they're injured or something. So if I'm WWE and I got Okada, like get him, I want him feuding with Nakamura, I want him feuding with Styles, I want Balor feuding with him. He knows these guys, he's familiar with these guys. These guys are going to show you the NJPW style. They know what they're doing. Man, he'd be the well, you know what though? Maybe at like Backlash or I don't know, maybe Chamber. I mean, that's assuming that he's even going to show up, you know what I mean? And that's why Fightful Select was like, "Hey, you know, let's not be too hasty here. We don't 100% know when or if he's going to show up. So let's not just immediately sit here and say that is the case," which I completely understand, because I do that all the time. I don't know anything. I'm not Okada. I'm not in Okada's camp. I don't know where he's going to go, and I don't know what his reasoning is going to be, you know? So wherever he decides to go is wherever he decides to end up, and it's 100% his prerogative. So I personally, if you ask me, though, if you pull me to the side, I think he's going to go with WWE. I think that would be the best idea. I think that would be the best plan for him. I think that's what he should do, but I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. So, as I always say, we're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening. On Busted Open Radio, Santino Marella said TNA is, quote, working on a deal with, quote, a big television network. Once that happens and they're, quote, on a channel that everyone can see, then the promotion will, quote, change gears and blow up to the next level. I can't wait. I said this already. TNA's cooking. TNA is doing what WWE is doing. They are getting their ducks in a row. They are signing people, okay? They are working with the people that they already have. They are revamping the product. They are trying to make sure that they are getting their product on a visible network, all right? And this is something that I spoke about with AEW, and I feel like AEW is not getting it moving, man. That's just my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. This is just how I feel. I feel like AEW is just not chugging along as fast and as thoroughly as it should. I think what's going on is AEW is they feel like what they've got going on right now is working, is doing its thing, and I'm sure it is. I don't know the analytics, all right? I don't even know what I would look up. Can I look it up? Can we look it up on the phone? AEW, what would I even look up? AEW ratings, I guess. We'll say AEW ratings. AEW ratings. I don't know what we'll find. Let's see. Great. Okay, that's not what I meant. These are just reviews. Here we go. AEW Dynamite ratings, January 24th. Here we go. Last week's edition of okay, this is by Sam Palmer. Shout out to Wrestling Inc. Last week's edition of AEW Dynamite saw an increase in viewership thanks to the hype surrounding Samoa Joe defending his AEW World Championship against Hook. But the show wasn't able to keep up that trend with the January 24th episode. According to WrestleNomics, the January 24th edition of Dynamite averaged a total of 837,000 viewers, a 6% drop from last week's 891,000 viewers. Compared to the trailing 4 weeks, however, there was little to no average movement. The show also averaged a .27 number in the key 18 to 49 demographic, a drop of 18% from last week's .33 number. In total, the 837,000 viewers represent a 13% decrease from the same period last year, while the .27 number is a 6% decrease from the .29 number the company garnered in January 2023. As is typical thanks to having, quote, The Big Bang Theory as a lead-in, Dynamite's best quarter hour was the first one on a promo segment between Joe and Hook that fed into the start of Hangman Adam Page versus Penta El Zero Miedo and was watched by more than 1 million people. Viewership declined steadily throughout the night, however, with the weakest quarter hour being the 5-minute overrun featuring the finish of the Dream match between Adam Copeland and Minoru Suzuki plus Copeland's post-match promo. Listen, can I just be honest with you? That match wasn't really amazing. It wasn't. I'm not going to lie, folks. Suzuki's matches pretty much follow the same formula. Hit, slap, 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 slap. Gotch style pile driver. No sell. Minoru hits them. They hit Minoru. Minoru hits them. They drop. And then Minoru always loses. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. It wasn't crazy. In addition to Copeland versus Suzuki and Page versus Penta, which wasn't a bad match, I liked it. This week's edition of Dynamite saw Swerve Strickland get a win over Jeff Hardy, while the Acclaimed and Daddy-Ass Billy Gunn successfully defended the AEW World Championships against the Mogul MC with little help from Bullet Club Gold. The episode also included promo segments from AEW World Women's Champion Thomas Toni Storm and a current rival new AEW signee Deonna Purrazzo, as well as possible future tag team champions Darby Allin and Sting, which is probably not going to happen because Sting is going to retire, so it wouldn't make sense. So, yeah, it just wouldn't make sense. Because the first thing that everybody would think is, okay, well, who are they dropping them to? Like, we know they're going to lose, you know. So, they're not doing crazy numbers. And, I mean, I wouldn't expect them to be doing, like, a billion views, you know. But I would say around, like, 800,000, 800 to, like, 890,000 is usually what they get. They never really go any higher than that. And the only, I would argue that it's like any TV show. It's trickled down from the last show that was on. So yeah, it makes sense. And again, and that's why I'm not really surprised, because that's just how TV is. It's not AEW. It's just how TV is. Of course, the first hour is going to have the most amount of viewers because it's everyone either getting up to go do something and then forget to change the channel, or, you know, you're going to go make dinner, or you're putting your dinner away, or you're putting the kids to bed. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of different factors. So that's why I'm not really like losing my mind. But yeah, 800,000. I mean, that's how it's been for quite some time now. But yeah, I feel like AEW is just not, it's not reaching the I don't know how to explain it. It's like, just, to me, that's why I have to keep stressing this. I don't want anyone to think that the things that I'm saying are things that you should be agreeing with. If you disagree with it, fine. If you agree with it, great. But I personally just feel like AEW is just not moving the needle, man. That's just my opinion. That's just how I'm feeling. And I feel like TNA is doing that with Mustafa Ali I don't want to say just signed. He is about to debut on TNA. That's what it sounds like. And he's got like this presidential gimmick. I'm all for it. Okay, I like this. So, but you can see, right, with the Dolph Ziggler and the Mustafa Ali, and you got like different, I don't remember who's there. A lot's been happening, all right? So, but the point I'm trying to make is that TNA's making moves, WWE's making moves, and AEW is kind of just doing its thing. So, I would like, to be fair though, AEW did say that they were going to try and move to a hybrid of streaming / cable. So, that's something. I will say that 100% with confidence that that is at least moving it in a particular direction, and I would like to see more of that. That's great, but I would like for that to continue. For what it's worth, Dave Meltzer wrote in the Daily Update that Seth Rollins, quote, has to make a decision. He'll likely address what he's doing for his knee on Raw. So, he basically was like, it's not good. I mean, torn meniscus, torn MCL, right? Terrible, right? And it's obviously he's going to be out for a while, but Gunther came out and Rollins was like, yeah, I'm not gonna let this stop me. I'm not gonna listen to the doctors. Terrible thing to do, by the way. Don't care if you're a heel or a babyface. Not listening to doctors is one of the stupidest fucking things you could possibly do. Okay, so Seth, if I were you, kayfabe real life, shut up, right? But that promo made me think that he's not going to be gone for a while. That promo made me think that he's going to be out for the Rumble, obviously, and he's going to take that time to heal up. And that's why I said, yes, he's going to be out for the Rumble. 100% guarantee he wasn't scheduled anyway, but I think, if anything, that's good because now he has more time to heal, right? And Elimination Chamber is a maybe, because, that's a little bit later down the line, and we don't necessarily know how he's going to feel, and I don't remember off the top of my head if he said he was going to get surgery. I think he was like, yeah, it might happen, I don't remember 100%, but if he does get surgery, then I would say that it's more likely that he will not show up to Chamber. I would say it's more likely that he won't, than it will be questionable. I'm leaning on he won't show up to Chamber, and that's if he needs and also gets surgery. And even then, I still feel like he's going to really be cutting it close with WrestleMania. If he does get surgery, he's going to be cutting it very close. Very, very, very close. Because you got to get back into shape, and then you got to get back into game shape, and then you got to get back into wrestling shape, and then you got to get into you got to get into WrestleMania shape. All right? You can't just, just get back into shape and then be like, all right, I'm ready to do a fucking 6:30 moon stomp off the stage, So I'm a little bit apprehensive. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what is going to happen with him. I'm a little bit worried because I just feel like, I personally feel like he should get the surgery, and I don't want him to come back. I don't want him to be impatient and come back too early, and worsen the recovery process, prolong it, re-pull something, So if I'm the doctor, I would, if it's necessary, then do it. If you don't need surgery, fine. Because MJF was like, all right, I'm going to do physical therapy. I don't want to do surgery. And I'm like, all right, I would prefer the surgery just so you don't have to worry. Because I feel like physical therapy is going to help, yes, but surgery, well, I don't know. Because I remember I got surgery for my lazy eye, and my eye is still kind of fucked up. But to be fair, though, that was like fucking like, I would say like 17 years ago, So I don't expect surgery to 100% cure something. You know what I mean? But either way, you want to make sure, more often than not, you want to make sure that, like, it's good and you don't got to worry about it. And I just feel like physical therapy is going to help, but I feel like it's not surgery, so you're obviously going to be a little bit more susceptible to having, like, a lingering injury or something, But that's, and I'm not, again, not knocking physical therapy. It does work. My little brother had physical therapy, and he's great. I'm just saying I would prefer surgery. To be fair, though, he had surgery and then physical therapy. So physical therapy is significant. I just think that if you're going to, I would prefer both and not just physical therapy. But again, that's just me. So, again, I think, obviously, no Rumble, obviously. I don't know what's going to happen with Chamber. I don't know. I don't know what they've got going on down the line. It doesn't really seem like anybody is, gunning for the title, at least right now. So maybe that's something that they could potentially do like right after the Rumble. I don't know. Again, because he's questionable. I mean, that's even if he shows up on Raw after Rumble anyway, right? So I don't know. I can't see it in the future. I'm not set, so we are really going to have to wait and see what ends up happening here. Finally, Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso says it's at least possible that The Rock will win the Royal Rumble match this weekend if that's what he wants to do. However, that outcome, quote, is not expected, especially now that The Rock versus Roman Reigns feud could, quote, be extended to, sorry, I was itching my nose, could be extended to a time when it airs globally on Netflix in 2025. That sounds like they are going to push this fucking feud back even longer. Why would you do that? That is a terrible idea. Please do not stretch this feud out any longer than it already is. This feud has been going on, I would say, well, not even a feud, but the illusion, the alluding to the feud has been going on for, I would say, the last fucking 2 years. Please do not do that. Thank you. Okay? I get it. You got the big $1 billion deal. It's on Netflix. You want everybody to fucking glue their eyes to the product. I completely and utterly understand. I understand. But you could do it in so many different ways, and this is not one of them. Also, can we just go back? The Rock will win the Royal Rumble match with this weekend if that's what he wants to do. Rock, I don't give a shit what you want to do. You're not winning the Rumble, says Nick Khan. I don't give a fuck. Even though he's a board member. Fair enough. So I feel, well, you're a board member. Okay, well, that's great. I'm the CEO. So why don't you do me a favor? Okay. And shut up. You're not winning the Rumble. That is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. Can you imagine Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and fucking The Rock? Lord have mercy, man. That fucking bald-headed dumb fuck. Sorry, that was way too harsh. That bald-headed dipshit could barely fucking keep it together after getting into a bit of a squabble with Jinder Mahal, and yet he wants to do a Royal Rumble so he can enter in at number 30. Bing, bang, bosh, that's the end of it, and he barely even has to work. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I love Dwayne. I think he's great. If I met him in person, I would run into him. I would just throw my body at him and it would bounce off of him like a frisbee because, I mean, have you seen him? Okay. But from a wrestling standpoint, okay, go over there. Go somewhere. Go make another Jungle Cruise movie, you fuck. How about that? How about you make a Baywatch movie that people actually like? How about that? How about you go do that? He says, not having a single solitary movie career at all. Okay, but I watch movies, so I think I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Anyway. Man, I've said this before, okay? He's not winning the Rumble. And if you think that he's winning the Rumble, you are fucking stupid. There you go. That's just my personal opinion. Okay? But it also is rooted in fact. If you think that The Rock is winning the Rumble, you are just not mentally capable of things. And this is not, now that is just not my opinion. That is just fact. I'm just telling you what the truth is. That's all. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. You feel me, dog? So, man. Could be extended to a time when it airs globally on Netflix in 2025. Like, what? Why would you do that? That is a terrible idea. Why would you have this feud carry on for the rest of the entire year? That is not a good idea. It's something you could do. If you really, 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 I mean, man, if you were about to fall into the mouth of a volcano, fine. Do rock Roman, fine. But you don't have to do that, and I hope that that's not what they're going to do. It sounds like a road that they could 100% start veering towards. I hope that that's not what they're going to do, folks. So on that note, the episode's not over. I know that sometimes when I say folks and on that note and stuff, that means I'm ending the episode. But what it means is I'm now about to transition into what I've got to possibly say is my favorite segment that I've ever created in my entire life. So here's what we're going to do, folks. What I need you to do is I need you to pack up your stuff. Get up. I'm not joking. Pack up your stuff. Make sure you've got your necessities and your toothbrush, some extra socks. If you're packing shampoo, any type of gel or any type of liquid or anything, I need you to put it in a separate bag or a separate Ziploc bag so in case it explodes, it doesn't get on any of your personal belongings or any of your vital implements or what have you, okay? And I need you to follow me because we are now going to board the train to be on our way to Rumination Station. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear that? It's the sound of the Rumination State. Well, no, it's the sound of the train that is letting us know that we have just arrived to Rumination Station. So, if you don't know what this is basically an article that I took from the website Mental Floss, mentalfloss.com, and it's just a bunch of questions that just make you think, questions like how do fireworks get made? Why do dogs chase cars? Why do you cross your fingers? What is snow made out of? You know what I mean? A lot of very thought-provoking questions like the one I'm about to read right now. And this one is, why do dogs bark at nothing? This is by Jake Rawson, and it was written on January 25th, 2024. According to the American Kennel Club, the most common explanation for unprompted woofing is that it's not really unprompted at all. Instead, it's likely that humans are simply unable to perceive whatever visual, not oral as in mouth, aural, A-U-R-A-L, aural, or olfactory cues the dog is sensing. Sorry, I really had to figure out what that word said. So, aural and olfactory cues the dog is sensing. Dogs are obviously equipped with superior hearing, including the ability to detect sounds that are higher in pitch. In theory, a dog could be reacting to a noise that a person nearby wouldn't be able to hear, possibly a far-off vehicle siren. Ooh. If a dog barks seemingly unprovoked at night, it might be because ambient noise is lessened and they're more attuned to the various howling and barking of other dogs. Because dogs are territorial, one dog barking can turn into many. Dogs are also able to see better in the dark than humans thanks to their ability to get more light into their retinas. If a dog is reacting to what looks to you like an empty backyard at night, it's possible that something has caught their attention. Be it a wild animal, a leaf, or a serial killer, because, That's not to say that dogs only bark when their canine senses are triggered. Some dogs might bark spontaneously out of boredom, in which case more exercise or playtime is probably needed. They might also be trying to get their owner's attention. The AKC recommends that owners avoid scolding their dogs for barking, since they're simply trying to remain vigilant. Instead, you can try reassuring the dog to let them know you're aware of their concern. If they tend to bark while gazing out a window, you can also try to manage their vantage point with curtains. If you suspect the source is an audio cue, some white noise like a television or radio can help. Less often, chronic barking might be a sign of cognitive issues. If barking is persistent and no fugitive is hiding out in your bushes, then you might consider a trip to the vet. So I have two dogs. One is Coco. One's name is Coco. She's a girl. And one's name is Caesar. He is a boy. And they both bark incessantly. And sometimes they bark at absolutely god-awful nothing. And sometimes they go fucking apeshit whenever the UPS, Amazon, or mailman show up. And I don't know what it is about Caesar, but for some strange reason, he loses his mind at someone in uniform. I remember I was walking him, and I walked by a guy getting out of a lawn mowing company truck, and I don't remember if he was in uniform or not, but I remember it being very odd that Caesar was barking at him because I think he wasn't in uniform. I think he was just, here to mow my man's lawn, and Caesar was just losing his mind. And I was like, that is very odd that you lose your mind. And Coco doesn't bark at anybody. Coco will bark at other dogs, which is ironic. Coco will bark at other dogs, and Caesar will not. Caesar will bark at other people, and Coco will not. So, I don't know what it is. Sometimes they will bark at nothing, so I assume that means that they can hear something, or maybe they can... I assume it's because they can see something happening, like down the road or across the street. Sometimes, some of the neighbors in the neighborhood will, like, walk by, or, some of the kids will be getting off the bus, and they'll be seeing them and stuff like that, and they'll be barking at them. They're not aggressive. They're not barking to, like, kill. They're just barking because they see them, and they just want to let everybody know. They don't really bark because they're bored. Half the time when they're bored, they just go the fuck to sleep. That's pretty much all they do. Other times, I mean, if it was up to them. So our window, the way our window still is like set up is there's like a gap that the dogs can easily sit on top of and look out the window. So we had to move the couch specifically so that does not happen. And, if it was up to them, they'd be at that window every single day, and they would just be, their ears would perk up, and they would just be staring out and screaming at anybody and everybody that walked by. And that is not something that I want to happen in this house because, man, it's really Caesar who goes on for ages. Coco will stop. Coco knows when to stop. She'll go on for a little bit, but she'll stop. She'll cool off. Caesar will just keep barking. I mean, if you don't stop him, he'll just keep barking. Sometimes they bark and they don't, and like the way our door is set up, it's got it's like the I don't know how to explain it, but the pattern on the glass is very difficult to see out of, and their positioning on the couch makes it even more difficult from how far away they are, right? So I don't understand what it is that they could potentially even be looking at, but the way that the glass is like patterned, and I'm sure if a car drives by or a leaf falls in front of the door, it may look like something, so maybe that's why they bark. I never do anything. Every time they're barking, I come down, well, not every time, but usually because sometimes they'll bark like a bomb just dropped in front of us. So we'll come downstairs and I'll look out the window. I'll check. And usually they stop after that because it's like, well, you're seeing it now. So if something is there, then you'll let me know. And that's why I'm barking to let you know, I don't know if I said this. Whenever I bring the mail in, because that's usually 9 times out of 10, that's why they're screaming, is the mailman walked by. He had the audacity to do his job. So, whenever the mailman is screaming, after he leaves, I get the mail, and I let them sniff it. Well, Caesar's usually the main one who is perched atop the couch, and is looking out, or is at least trying to get a view of what's going on. So I always let him sniff the mail. Coco's never really adamant on the mail, so I'm just like, all right, whatever. So I let Caesar sniff it, and he does. He sniffs it very intently. And, I let him do his thing, and then I carry on about my day. So, I figure they aren't barking at nothing. I figured that. I know they can see and hear way better than us. So, whatever it is that they're barking at, they're not superheroes. So, like, maybe sometimes they get mistaken for stuff. I remember one time I was walking the dogs, and Coco mistook a big leaf for, like, I guess another dog or an animal. And she ran at it and then stopped. Like, she was like, oh, okay. That's what I thought. You know what I mean? So, dogs are great, man. On that note, that's going to do it for this episode, folks. I want to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by, and I hope everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.